From the studios of Books in Motion, this is Stephanie Brush reading A Too Real Murder by Larry Names. Now let's begin with Chapter 1. Leslie Clover stood in front of a full-length mirror on the closet door in the master bedroom of his Hollywood bungalow, admiring himself. On the one hand, his overall form pleased him. Although his sallow face remained on the fleshy side, his torso certainly appeared to be trimmer, which was the desired effect of donning a theatrical corset. He turned to the left, no belly protruding from that view. He turned to the right, no midriff bulge to be seen this way either. A smile of satisfaction curled the corners of his lips. "Haven't looked this lithe since my early youth, don't you know? Yes, quite fit and proper. This should do the trick and get me a bigger role or two at Keystone." To celebrate the moment, Clover reached for the pack of Chesterfields on the dressing table that doubled as a nightstand. He flipped up a pair of fags, drew one with his lips, and dropped the pack back on the vanity. From a pocket of his gray trousers, crumpled on the bed, he withdrew the sterling silver ever-ready cigarette lighter he had brought with him from England. As he so often did, he admired the engraving on the German-made petrol lighter before removing the lid. He thumbed the wheel to make the spark to ignite the wick and then put the flame to the tip of the cigarette. One quick inhale brought the tobacco to life. Before taking a deep drag, Clover replaced the lid on the ever-ready, effectively smothering the tiny fire. As he returned the lighter to his trouser pocket, he drew hard on the cigarette to fill his lungs with the addictive smoke. Before the tar and nicotine-laced gas could complete the inflation, Clover's breath suddenly deserted him in a blasting cough. He jerked the Chesterfield from his mouth instinctively. As a natural reaction to the abrupt and excessively violent tussive spasm, his lungs panicked for oxygen, air that would not come because his diaphragm was now out of synchronization with his pulmonary system. Clover hacked several more times. Between coughs, he tried to breathe, but nothing came of his efforts. The harder he tried to inhale, the more his skin reddened with the struggle. He dropped the burning cigarette on the hardwood floor and reached for the ends of the strings of the man's corset binding his torso. He caught one and gave it a good pull, but only succeeded in creating a knot instead of untying the bow. Worse, he tightened the laces, which only made his panic-stricken effort to breathe more difficult and eventually futile. Now, without life-giving air for too long, Clover clutched his throat, brown eyes bulging, mouth agape, and crumbled to the floor. He rolled onto his back, and in the next instant his eyes rolled up in their sockets. Complete unconsciousness overtook him. The other person in the room, who had been sitting quietly and watching Clover for several minutes, rose from the armchair, walked over to the supine and comatose actor, and stooped over to check to see if Leslie had yet begun breathing again. Certain of that eventuality, the visitor straightened up, went to the bed, retrieved a pillow, and returned to Clover. Quite deliberately, the watcher knelt beside the unconscious body, placed a knee onto the actor's solar plexus, put the pillow over his face, and pressed firmly. Feeling the pillow against his nose aroused Clover. He opened his eyes, but was unable to see anything with the cushion covering them. Realizing he was being attacked, he reacted by thrashing about. Touching his assailant stimulated his senses all the more. He kicked his feet and swung his arms, but the defensive moves exhausted the remaining oxygen in his lungs. In spite of the hormonal injection from his adrenal glands, he failed to fend off the assault. Knowing there was no turning back now, the visitor held the cushion in place for several minutes to make damn certain Leslie Clover was dead. Most people remember 1912 as the year the Titanic struck an iceberg, sank in the North Atlantic, and 1,500 people perished at sea. One of them should have been Susan Delaney Deaton, but she failed in her attempt to stow away on the ill-fated ocean liner. This put her in trouble with the law, which was why she was known by another name when she arrived at 7:30 a.m. Thursday, September 26, 1912, in Los Angeles aboard the Santa Fe Railroad's California Limited. The La Grande depot bore a stronger resemblance to a Baghdad mosque than it did to an American railroad station. Passengers debarked the various cars at all speeds. Our girl took her time, pausing
Sample complete. Ready to continue?